What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Child, I was resting so good, I almost ain't come back to the podcast. Hey, I was resting so good, I almost did not come back to the podcast. I love y'all, but I was having me a good old time resting. Now, it's only the top of the year. We have all reassessed, but I need to reassess me some more rest and relaxation into the mix. I did not set New Year's Eve or New Year's resolutions, but first, let me back up a little bit. Happy New Year, y'all. Okay, I'm over here talking like it's all about me. Okay, it's all about you. Tonight is about you. So what you gonna do? Okay, you gonna get it up. That ain't where we going. That ain't the direction we going in, but you get the point. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope y'all had a good holiday break. I got some rest or had a good time, travel, kicked it with family and friends, got good gifts over the holidays. I hope you did everything that you wanted to do and set out to do. Drama free, because we're not doing that no more. We too old. I did have an enjoyable break. I didn't do much, just hung out, cleaned up, hung out with some friends, ate some food, relaxed, slept in late, went to bed super late, solidified the fact that I need to be one of them Black women that get into bed at 10 o'clock. I got my priorities in mind. I ain't really acted on them yet, but I got them in mind. And overall, it was a very pleasant holiday for me. One thing that made it even more pleasant was Beyonce was on Netflix. I know it's a couple weeks ago, but hey, we still here. We're still talking about it. We are still talking about it. And real quick, before I get into that, I said I wasn't gonna set no New Year's resolutions, and I'm just gonna go where life takes me. I'm open to possibilities and whatever is in store for me. But I do want to say I do and will try to maintain my health as best as I can. That is something that is important to me. And when I was thinking about if I was being dramatic with the not doing New Year's resolutions things, I was like, what do I want to achieve? One thing for a fact, I want to be healthy. I've been sick before. I have been to the point where I felt like I wasn't going to make it because I was feeling so bad. And unless you've been there and been in a situation like that, you just really can't fathom how you can get to that point. But I have been to the point where I felt so bad and so sick that I just didn't know how I was going to make it to the next day. And now that I've come out of that, one thing that I want to always try to do is make sure that I stay as healthy as possible. Because when they say your health is the most important thing, and once you don't have that, you don't have nothing, child, let me tell you, that's so real. So I will be trying to maintain good health. I want to be more physically active. I do want to drop 10 pounds because, baby, I can't get that pandemic weight off me. I can't get it off. Baby, pass me the Ozempic. If I had an easy way if I didn't want to call my primary care physician and have a conversation with her and her try to give me the shady side eye, I will give me a couple of the Ozempic pills. I just need about 5 of them. I don't need a whole dose. I just need to get this pandemic weight off. But that ties into being as healthy as possible. So that is one thing that I am striving to do for the new year. But back to the point, and that's physical, mental, and spiritual health. Okay, the point is Beyonce did her thing on Netflix down to the football game. She did her thing down to the football game, so much so that it is now maybe 2 weeks later, and it is still causing lots of conversation and some discourse all over social media. So in case you missed it, go down to Netflix. It's still on there. That little 15-minute video or less is still on there. Beyonce performed songs from her newest album, Cowboy Carter. It was as good as we thought it was, and it paid a lot of homage and had a lot of representation that stem from Black cowboy, Black Southern culture. And one thing that the conversation on social media has brought to light is that Black people are very nuanced. There is not one Black experience that is not unique compared to the others as it relates to people in America. We always talk about Black culture, but when you really drill down, that can mean many different things based on where you from and where you live. For example, even if you're in the South, Black Louisiana Creole culture could be totally different from Black Southern Texas culture. You start to head up north, that Chicago culture, yes, it's related to Midwest. And when you get to Detroit and different cities, New York, there's DC, Florida, there are so many different pockets of Black culture that have their own special something about it. And one thing Beyonce did in this performance, and we seeing her do throughout her artistry of especially over the past 10, 12 years, is showcasing that. So lots of American flags, Black people wearing American flags, lots of Black cowboys and Black cowgirls, Black people on horses. There were like cars and carriages decorated in white flowers, which were a part of Southern Juneteenth culture in the past. She had the four Black country artists on Blackbird there as well singing, which gave a huge platform to those ladies because whether we like to admit it or not, Beyonce, even though she wasn't historically charted or singing within the country genre her entire career, the girl been country and they used to talk about her for having a country accent when her and Destiny's Child used to be on the road and doing interviews. But even with her now within the country space formally, she still was able to break down doors and barriers for other women and men. So she had the four women, like mentioned. Shabuzi was there, who had the highest charting country song of the year, Black Man, African. Okay. She even got Post Malone in there, looked like he had a shower. So it was just an all around good time. Blue Ivy was there eating it up. This is why I like Blue Ivy and what they doing with her. It's very difficult, I imagine, to be the child of uber celebrities and a billionaire. Because if I'm not mistaken, Beyonce's not necessarily a billionaire yet, but her daddy is. Jay-Z is a billionaire. And it is very difficult when you are born into a world with social media because the day Blue Ivy came up out the womb, they've been talking about her and being negative towards her. We specifically saw with the Renaissance tour how people was dragging her on social media, and then she finally, towards the end of the tour, you can tell she was like, F y'all, I'm about to kill it, and ended up killing her performances on the tour. But this halftime performance, baby, she was back there eating gobble gobble. Sis was killing it. So I'm really proud of how far she's come. And I'm just excited for her overall. Side note, we're gonna talk about this a little later. I went to see Mufasa. I said I wasn't, but Blue Ivy did her thing in Mufasa. That young girl is a wonderful voice actress. She played the role of Kiara, Simba and Nala's little daughter. She was so good in that. And I'm not just saying it because y'all know I love me some Beyonce and Blue Ivy. No, that little girl did a really good job. But back to Beyonce. She did had a lot of moments and elements within the performance, again, that highlighted Black country culture. And after the performance, which consisted again of cowboy songs from Cowboy Carter, was great to see them performed live. Loved it, loved it. On social media, people started talking about different topics within that. People started debating over Black culture. People started debating over what is propaganda, if the flag usage is propaganda, and if Beyonce is responsible for delivering bad messaging to Black Americans. It triggered a conversation between people with two Black parents and biracial children. I mean, it was literally all over the place. And I don't know if Beyonce is on social media. If she isn't, I think Loki, I think she do got a little burner account. But I often wonder what she thinks when people just be going crazy in all of these different directions over things that she puts out, because that's the true testament of art, right? It sparks a conversation and it starts a conversation. But for the sake of this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about some of those points and what people are saying online in regards to those different things that she highlighted or things that she presents to the public through her art. Now, one of the biggest discussions when it comes to this recent Act Two era of Beyonce, her music and her artistry, some Black people have a problem with her usage of the American flag. As a lot of us know, Black people, patriotism, the American flag has a very complicated relationship as it relates to us in this country. A lot of Black families have roots that put us in America as early as the 16 or 1700s, longer than some of our white counterparts who consider themselves patriots. We have roots in the transatlantic slave trade, which puts us directly on the soil and in the land and areas where we literally built this country, from building houses, roads, clearing land, waterways, dams, boats, you name it, picking cotton, rice, indigo, coffee, fruit, vegetables, raising livestock, breastfeeding people's children, every aspect that goes, inventions. We are literally at the root of all of these things. But somewhere along the way, we were made to feel like Black people that the American flag did not belong to us because of what it represents, the terror that was committed against us on the back of the flag, the people that claim they are Americans and how they have perpetuated violence against us, and on and on and on. Very complicated relationship. So people are on social media. There's a group of people who feel like that Beyonce is responsible or leading a charge of American propaganda that is designed to make Black people patriotic in the system that is historically not designed for us. Some people are saying that she's a government pawn. You Everything you can think of. And there have been lots of arguments all over all of these platforms with people arguing the opposite. Now, what do I think? If you listen to the lyrics of Cowboy Carter, there's no way you can get a message of propaganda. On Yaya, she literally says, there's a whole lot of red in that white and blue. History can't be replaced. Literally, there's blood in this white and blue. Like, she's literally, American Requiem literally starts the album off and she is talking about the Black experience in America. So a lot of times when I hear and I've been listening to these debates, my first concern is I'm 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 wondering if people actually understand how to comprehend what they're hearing. And don't get me started on literacy, comprehension skills in America. Like, please, I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole if I need to. But I feel like her lyrics to this directly negates that part of the conversation and the discussion. I also get the impression that this album, along with the flag imagery, one, highlights Black cowboy culture, because I'm not a Southern Black woman. My ancestors and my grandparents were from the South, but I did not grow up in the South, so I'm not aware of Black rodeo culture and all this other stuff. Apparently, at Black rodeos, child, the flag be flying. One, two, with her essentially trying to reclaim the country genre, which originally belonged to Black people, was created by Black people, even down to the banjo, the instruments that are being played, even to the conversations on the album talking about genres and what do they mean, even us learning history about the pop versus race record genres on Billboard and how they used to categorize music and how that only started, they started breaking it up into different quote unquote modern genres was because they wanted to separate out Black people and Black music. And because she's essentially reclaiming the country genre and simultaneously trying to get Black people to reclaim the flag because it is essentially our flag because we built this country, I think that's what she's doing. And I don't, and I'm speaking on behalf of how I interpret the art in this current act 2, but I could be mistaken. However, I don't think people realize or recognize when you use the word propaganda as it relates to Black people. I don't think people have historical context about what that insinuates and what that actually means to Black people. I don't think in this case, in a lot of cases, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a lot, Black people can't be responsible for propaganda because according to the United States, we are the propaganda. They think we are the propaganda. I can go on and on, but that was a big one. Another thing that was people were discussing somehow conversation about mixed Black people versus full Black people came up, and I think it was because there was a woman on TikTok who is biracial. People, I don't think people knew it at the time, but she was one of the main people starting this propaganda, Beyonce's propaganda conversation, and somebody called out the fact that she was mixed. And then somehow it became like, oh, mixed people versus black. I don't know I don't know where it started. But I did have a question, and it's not, this ain't necessarily related to Beyonce. It's just sparked in my mind as people were talking around her. Again, not related, but it's a question that I had based on what we've been seeing in the conversations we've been having, and we be having people, Black Americans now starting to call themselves foundational Black Americans and starting to try to disregard Black people from other countries, Africans, and Black people from the Caribbean. Some people who had the same type of transatlantic slave trade experience that we had. And considering that we could possibly be descendants of somebody who was literally dropped off first in the Caribbean and then came here, people trying to discredit different types of Black people. When did we stop considering mixed people Black? When did that happen? And I know I'm speaking generally, and I know everybody hadn't been doing this, and I know this is a very niche question, but I've been seeing it more and more lately. When did mixed people become not a part of Black people? When that happened? When we do that? When we do that? When do we do that? And I'm asking and bringing this up because I believe almost the majority of Black Americans have a percentage of Caucasian DNA in their blood due to the transatlantic slave trade. It is very rare for a Black American to have no DNA from any other demographic outside of Black people. And even people who are not Black Americans, who are Black Africans, due to colonialism and also the transatlantic slave trade, there is a large number of Black Africans who also have some Caucasian in their DNA. So when people start to attempt to discount Black people who are mixed, who may have a white parent or a white grandparent or, any other grandparent that ain't Black, I'm always kind of hesitant to even like I don't like accepting that or hearing that because Baby, if we got down to the nitty gritty, some of y'all gonna be mad about y'all ancestry because the majority of Black Americans cannot trace our ancestry back past our one time or two time great grandparent. And when we start asking questions about why you light skin and but you got two or four Black grandparents and you don't know where that light skin blood come from, but you also don't know some of the stories that should have been passed down from generation to generation, you're gonna be salty when some of your ancestors what? So I want Black people to really be careful with this conversation we be having about who is and who isn't Black because, honey, a lot of us have mixed ancestry. A lot of us do. I re-pulled my 23andMe and my ancestry, and when I tell you the slave trade was a doozy. Personally, I think Black Americans, especially Black American women, are the most exotic people on the planet. We talk about people always calling certain women exotic, but when you pull up our ancestry, there is African from multiple different countries and regions. I'm talking about Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Congo. Then you go down to European, baby. It was Irish, English, a little bit of Portuguese in there. There was some Jewish. There was some Native American. There was some Caribbean. There was some South American. There was some North African. Like, if we really want to start talking to Black people about who Black and who ain't, everybody got to pull up the DNA. Everybody got to pull up the DNA. That's all I'm saying. And again, I don't even know how or why the halftime performance about for the Cowboy Carter songs has been sparking these type of conversations. But I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't like how it's dividing us even more. That's the propaganda. If you want to talk about it. Outside of that, I will say Beyonce is the greatest living performer that we have right now. Ain't nobody, I don't care what nobody say. There's been arguments talking about she got so many dancers and stuff. You can't even tell that she performing. Baby, we could pull up the clip of her just singing this, doing a Stevie Wonder tribute where all she had was a microphone, a little black dress, and a band. Okay. Beyonce is our greatest living performer. I don't know who the greatest performer of all time. That ain't my business because everybody don't have access to the same type of resources. We just don't. We don't have the same type of resources when it comes to our physical fitness, maintaining our voice, our technology, our capabilities, what we can and can't bring on stage. Even the sound when you go into a stadium to a concert, the capabilities are different. When you went to a Michael Jackson concert back in the day, the sound system was not able to be set up the way it is now for us to be able to hear Michael in a way that could be comparable right now. So I don't like that conversation because we ain't working with the same stuff. And based on Michael Jackson being the trailblazer he was, because he single-handedly created the music video genre to be as big and like that spectacle. If Michael had the capabilities today to do what artists are able to do today, Michael would have been killing. Would he have been the best performer? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. But I know right now, Beyonce Knowles Carter is the greatest living performer. Sis been doing this since she was 17. She is now 43 years old. Okay. Argue with your uncle that be having the loose change in his pocket. But what did y'all think about it overall? Did you watch? Were you enjoying it? And have you been hearing these side conversations that are related and not related to the original halftime performance that represented black culture, country culture, and black music in general? Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts. You can find me at Canelia on social media. In other music related news, the Luther Vandross Never Too Much documentary finally came out on New Year's Day on CNN. And why is this the hardest dang documentary to find? Why is it so hard to find and watch Never Too Much? I have never had this much trouble finding, locating, and being able to watch the documentary. Why can't we access Never Too Much? It's always behind some extra paywall or you can't find it. It aired on CNN on the day of. Then it was supposed to re air right that night. But the unfortunate situation in New Orleans where that terrorist ran down, gunned down, or hurt, injured, killed all of those people. I'm sorry, unalived all those people. Then Never Too Much didn't get to air because there was breaking news. Understand. I get it. I get it. We need to know what's going on in New Orleans. But then it didn't re air for the rest of the week. So then there were notices and posts. Oh, Never Too Much airing again on Saturday. It aired on Saturday one time. Then people were saying, oh, you can see it on CNN on demand or on Hulu. But child, who got CNN on demand? One, who still got cable? And two, who bought the CNN app? Ain't nobody buy that dang CNN app. So how we supposed to watch it? And it ain't on Hulu because it gotta be Hulu plus the live option. And that's an additional $15. So how are we supposed to watch Never Too Much? How are we supposed to watch it? How? I was able to see each time I was able to catch some of it, it was always the last 30 minutes. It was always the last 30 minutes where it was talking about the back end of Luther's life, where he was, starting to think about the second act of his career when he signed to J Records, Clive Davis's label, and Daddy Dance with My Father, and when he got sick, the stroke. But I want to see the rest. So I will attempt again to watch Never Too Much and be able to chime in once I see it. But y'all know we love us some Luther Vandross. I've been waiting for this documentary since I heard it was coming out. Luther, one of the best voices we've had, male or female. It talked about his early days, from what I gather. He was singing background for people and how he was essentially pushed to the forefront. It was just his overall journey and the things that he struggled with and loneliness and just how hard this business is. There was also some discourse on social media about this one because there was a segment on the back end, which I did see, where the topic of his sexuality came up. And I'm going to say allegedly, child, because I don't need nobody Luther fan. I don't need the Luther state coming for me. Hey, allegedly. I'm just saying I'm just reading the papers. They talked about how there was one instance where Miss Patti LaBelle was asked if Luther was a gay man, and she insinuated that he was. He just didn't want to come out because of his mother's opinion or something like that. Then his friends chimed in and was essentially saying kind of like why would she say that? Or if Luther wasn't talking about his sexuality, why would she? Nobody was confirming, denying. They were taking the stance of, we're gonna back Luther and that's our boy. People were mad at Patty Child dragging her. And, I could see both sides. I don't know if Luther ever confirmed that with her. We do know, just like everybody else, Luther would not answer no questions about who he was dating, what he was doing. He was very tight-lipped about it. And that was his business, especially back then. You couldn't talk about nothing like that. But I also can see on the flip side, Patti LaBelle is like 80 years old. Child, she is too old to be lying. She can't keep no more secrets. When you get that old, tell me an old person who's still out here keeping secrets. When old people get old, that's when they be finally telling you that your uncle ain't really your uncle, that's your daddy. Like, they be spilling all the tea. If you want to get some truth out of some Black families, just wait till the matriarch and the patriarch is old. That's when you're going to finally get the truth. So I'm indifferent on all of that, but I would like to watch the full documentary to see them for myself, because I love me some Luther. And even back in the day, we have the VHS tapes because of my daddy was a Luther fan and my mama, of those Luther concerts with the elaborate costumes, like Luther Live, Never Too Much Live. We got all them VHSs, baby. So I've been tapped in since the beginning, and I really want to see this documentary. So hopefully it'll become available on streaming for good. And when it does, if it's worth chopping it up again about it, I will. Besides that, though, did y'all get a chance to watch it? Because, baby, where can I see the Never Too Much? Did you get to see it? Okay, hit me up. Let me know if you were able to catch Never Too Much on CNN. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. Every few years, a finest black man in the entire universe emerges out of nowhere and busts us right over the head and be having us in our complete and entire feelings. And child, that person now is Aaron Pierre. Aaron Pierre is the finest man on the planet. I know I got a fine man on the planet list going. I can name them if you like. Okay. But Aaron Pierre been fine, but with this latest press run for Mufasa, oh, he top of the food chain. Okay, hey, big dog. Okay, she don't want no puppy; she want a big dog. Aaron Pierre is the finest man on the planet. Now, granted, everybody got their type, and I have a list of 1,000 finest men on the planet, depending on how I feel. But baby, Aaron Pierre has got it. He now, I feel like, is the one people are going to be talking about. And it shifts, right? For the last couple years, when it comes to black people, everybody was talking about Michael B. Jordan. Everybody with Michael B. Jordan, especially when he got that Creed body. Michael B. Jordan got in that gym. Everybody was like, you know what he is. That's it. It's Michael B. Jordan. Before that, in different iterations, there was Idris Elba. Everybody talk, he the finest man. Okay. He the finest black man. Morris Chestnut at one point, finest black man. People talking about Michael Ealy, finest black man. Boris Kojo at one point, finest black man. Listen, Trevante Rose, finest black man. Yahya Abdul-Mateen the second, okay, finest black man. There is an entire list. People talking about Keith Powers, you name it. Jalen Hurts, they all fine. But it has been nice to see someone young and talented in that entire cast of Mufasa getting some real shine and some real press runs, because y'all know I love me some old school big budget press runs. I love me some 10 press junkets today, going from the UK over to the US, 5 red carpet premieres, billboards all up and down Sunset Boulevard. I love that whole thing. And they threw out all the stops for Mufasa and have really pushed both Aaron Pierre and Kelvin. What's Kelvin's last name? He was the voice of Scar. They've been pushing them heavy, rightfully so, because they are good actors, both very charming, and they were in the Genius series playing Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Really good. Y'all should watch it. It's on Disney Plus. I think it might be on Hulu as well. Really good. Y'all should watch that. They both did a really good job. But the thing that took Aaron Pierre over the edge on Jennifer Hudson, y'all know Jennifer Hudson, they got that spirit tunnel. Baby, they be working them staffers to the bone. They got to think of a new chant for every person that come on there. And I'm sure they be stressed out. But when Aaron Pierre walked down that little spirit tunnel and Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa, with that, doing big numbers on social media. Okay, doing big numbers. I done watched the spirit tunnel 72,000 times just yesterday. I watched it 42,000 the day before. So Aaron Pierre is the new leading man. And I did go see Mufasa because I found out he was singing. Listen, you ain't got to do no much to sell me. I heard that he was singing. I said, oh, he be singing too? Baby, give me a ticket one for Mufasa, please. Thank you very much. Really good movie. It was really nice, really well done. They was singing. Aaron and Kelvin, the young woman who played Sarabi, was doing her. I mean, it was just a good old time. So I want to, again, make sure we highlight the new finest black man on the planet, which is Aaron Pierre. And note that he been fine since he was playing Caesar on the Underground Railroad. If you ain't seen that, that was on Amazon Prime a few years ago. Okay, read your books and watch the show. But with that, How do you feel about the finest man on the planet list? Who is your top 3? I can't put them in no particular order. I can't put them in no order, but right now I got Aaron Pierre, Trevante Rose up there. Listen, Jalen Hurts, Jesse Williams, look, the light skin man making a comeback. They making a comeback, baby. I don't know. Yaya Abdul-Mateen II is up on there. Whatever. What's your list? Do you think Aaron Pierre is at the top of that? Did you see Mufasa? And are you excited for some of the other projects from the cast of Mufasa that they got coming out in the next year or so? Hit me up. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about Beyonce Bowl, her incredible performance on Netflix, and all of the conversations that is sparked across social media. We also talked about the highly anticipated Never Too Much documentary, the story of Luther Vandross, that's airing on CNN, and how it's so dang hard to be able to watch. And we talked about Aaron Pierre being the finest man on the planet, Mufasa, and who's on our list of the finest black men ever. Okay, hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.